Hey, good evening. I'd like to open the Tuesday, December 13th, 2022 meeting of the Cohasset Select Board. I'd like to call the roll. Corey?
Craven's here.
Diane?
Diane Kennedy here.
Jack Creighton here. Paul Grady, we understand, will be here shortly. I'd like to start, as we always do, with a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, as is, by the way, this is an in-person meeting. However, it is being publicized. It is also available on Zoom, and you can sign into Zoom. If you are on Zoom, you will have the ability to ask questions if recognized by the chair. And everybody should be aware that it's all being recorded if you speak. We don't have to have the normal disclaimers because this is a live meeting. We're not required to make all votes as roll call votes. As is our custom, we allow a public comment period. We have allowed a little bit of a change of format in that part of that public comment. There may be a very brief video presentation or graphic presentation. Whether this will be continued as policy, the board has not yet deliberated on that. We may or may not. But we always like to be transparent. We always like to let our citizens, speak. So, Jack, why don't you just identify yourself?
Sure. Thank you. Jack Buckley, 272 North Main Street. I'm here tonight speaking on behalf of CSER, and I just wanted to take 60 seconds to update the board in the public comment period. There's a screen presentation there that just shows pictures of CSER being painted. And the update that I want the board to be aware of is that this is the second time that we have painted the entire building and paid for the sanding, priming, painting of the building. So the latest round was done by Dean Harold and his crew, and the cost was $5,500. And I wanted to point out in this period of public comment that I believe that this is an example of excellence in stewardship of a public resource, and affirmation of the same from the board would be greatly appreciated. But I also would simply like to request that CSER be on the agenda in January or February or the earliest at the earliest convenience in 2023, so that we can continue discussion about the preservation of the asset, specifically with reference to the critical needs assessment that was completed by the town in 2021 and kind of kicked off the presentation that CSER made to the CPC and then the Historic Commission, and continued our communication, open communication with the town through Michelle Leary. So the update is we're doing great work. We're taking great care of the building. We're great stewards of the asset, and the request is simply to be on the agenda so that we can continue this discussion and to seek the advice and guidance of the select board as to what the best process and procedure will be to preserve that asset. And in the last quick thing, in the document that I shared, I gave a shout out. I didn't know Glenn would be seated here in the audience, but I gave a shout out in print to Glenn Pratt for his excellent leadership in making sure that the public bathrooms were professionally maintained and meeting the expectation that the residents have for public accommodations at the harbor. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, as everybody knows, when something is brought up in the public comment period, there's no discussion allowed in that select board meeting. The select board can do put it on the agenda in the future. Moving on to the agenda, annual license renewals, to a vote to authorize signatures on various things. What we thought we would do is, this has all been on the warrant. This has all been publicly out there, but in the interest of time, because these are all renewals, I thought we might break them into sections.
Happy to read, Mr. Chair, if you'd like.
Well, Diane is.
Okay,
right here.
wonderful.
She's our speed reader.
Okay, there we go. Move to approve the renewal of the following all alcohol on premises license. Celtic Bistro Corporation, DBA Via Bistro, The Corner Stop Eatery, DBA The Corner Stop, V&AA Incorporated, DBA Apuchina, White Crane Incorporated, DBA Feng Shui Restaurant, Wynn's Kitchen 1 LLC, DBA Wynn's Kitchen, RBLB Inc., DBA Lenny's Hideaway, 9 Depot Inc., DBA The Blue Oar.
Second.
Okay, we've had a motion made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries unanimously. I see Paul Grady, our town clerk, is here. Paul, do you want to read these by, read that
Second one or move?
second one?
Move to approve the renewal of the following wine and malt on premises licenses. South Shore Playhouse Associates, business as South Shore Music Circus. 5 South Main Incorporated, doing business as 5 South Main. Salty Days Cohasset LLC, doing business as Salty Days Fish.
Second.
We've had a motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstentions, motion carries. Paul, you just work your way down by section.
Move to approve the renewal of the following in-holder all alcohol on premises license. Red Lion Operating LLC, doing Red Lion Inn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we've had a motion made and second. Is there any discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries unanimously.
Move to approve the renewal of the following club all alcohol on premises license. George H. Mealy, Post 118, the American Legion. Golf Club, doing business as the Cohasset Golf Club.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries unanimously.
Move to approve the renewal of the following in-holder common jeweler license. Red Lion Inn Operating LLC, doing business as the Red Lion Inn.
Second,
Second.
motion is made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries unanimously.
Move to approve the renewal of the following local entertainment licenses. The Red Lion Inn Operating LLC, doing business as the Red Lion Inn. RBLB Incorporated, doing business as a Lenny's Hideaway. 9 Depot Inc., business as the Blue Oar. South Shore Playhouse Associates, doing business as South Shore Music Circus. George H. Mealy, Post 118, the American Legion. Corner Stop Eatery, doing business as the Corner Stop. Celtic Bistro Corporation, doing business as Via Bistro, Cohasset Golf Club.
Second.
All those, we have a motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries unanimously.
Move to approve the renewal of the following state entertainment licenses. The Red Lion Inn Operating LLC, doing business as the Red Lion Inn. Corner Stop Eatery, doing business as the Corner Stop. RBLB Incorporated, doing business as Lenny's Hideaway. South Shore Playhouse Associates, doing business as South Shore Music Circus. George H. Mealy, Post 118. Celtic Bistro Corp., business as Via Bistro. Cohasset Golf Club, 9 Depot, the Blue War.
Second,
Second.
motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously.
Move to approve the renewal of the following Class 1 and 2 car sales new and used vehicles licenses. WN Motors Incorporated as Coastal Nissan, 742 CJ Press. Cohasset Imports, 508 Chief Justice Cushing Highway.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously.
Move to approve the renewal of the following Class 2 car sales used vehicles licenses. CBK Auto, Jeffrey Pincus, 547 Beechwood Street. Aristocrat Auto and Truck Sales, Joseph Rosano, 105 Ripley Road. John's Car Care, John Kubik, owner. El Haj Auto Group LLC.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries unanimously.
Move to approve the renewal of the following retail package all alcohol licenses. Liquid Beverage Inc., Wine and Spirits Depot. Yogi Raj Corp., doing business as Curtis Liquors. Sajan Enterprises LLC, says Cohasset Wine and Spirits.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously.
Move to approve the renewal of the following retail package wine and malt licenses. Mulaney's Fish Market, Barrel and Vine LLC, doing business as Barrel and Vine. Barrel at Cohasset LLC, doing business as The Barrel.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously.
Move to approve the renewal of the following common victualler licenses. Celtic Bistro Corporation, doing business as Via Bistro. The Corner Stop Eatery, says the Corner Stop. V&AA Incorporated, doing business as Ava Cucina. White Crane Incorporated, doing business as Feng Shui Restaurant. Nyan's Kitchen, One LLC. DDA Nyan's Kitchen. RBLB Incorporated, doing business as Lenny's Hideaway. Nine Depot Inc., doing business as the Blue War. Salty Days Cohasset. Cohasset Pizza Company Incorporated, doing business as Warriors. Creative Pizza and Grill, doing business as Creative Pizza and Grill. South Main. South Shore Playhouse Associates, doing business as South Shore Music Circus. George H. Mealy, Post 118, American Legion. Cohasset Golf Club. Cohasset Pizza House. Atlantic Bagel. Keith Donuts LLC. King Donuts LLC. French Memories. JJ's Dairy Hut. Olympus Grill. Starbucks. Teal Pizza. Made in Mass.
Second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. that it?
After I sign this?
Yeah, they're all for you. Let everybody notice that this select board can do more than chew gum and sign papers at the same time.
We tripped over the sidewalk next there.
Sometimes we even walk.
My name is.
Yeah.
Thus, we need a sidewalk committee.
So anyway, I think we've got through all this. I'm going to put this off here. Paul has some signing to do. Moving forward, the police union contract, they've agreed to move out of civil service. It was approved at town meeting last night. We've looked over it and discussed it. Does anybody have any further discussion about the police union contract? I'm not hearing any discussion. Is anybody from the floor? Is anybody on Zoom?
Motion to ratify the police union contract.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to ratify the police union contract. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Moving forward, the cemetery discussion and review. Is that something, Chris, you're going to?
That's like Glenn and Brian.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and Board. Thanks for having us.
Brian, could you hit the mic just?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks.
I just died.
So this evening, we're talking about the cemeteries, town of Cohasset cemeteries. Last year, actually 1 year to this date, there was an appropriation town meeting to update the cemetery records and do a review. So that has been done. I think I have a PowerPoint up. I just wanted to go over kind of quickly what cemeteries we have in town, and then hand it over to Glenn to kind of go through some specifics on the findings. So last year, after the appropriation, we went through and we reviewed all of the records that the town has at DPW, and went through any discrepancies and fixed any issues that as far as record keeping goes. So I don't know if that's what everyone's viewing at home, or is that?
Yeah, that's what's very.
Oh, okay.
And Justin, it seems like he's working on the
All right, so
PowerPoint.
I'll just go through it. We have 4 cemeteries in town, 2 active and 2 inactive. The historic ones are Greengate Cemetery, which is in North Cohasset, and Cedar Street Cemetery. So Greengate Cemetery is up near the west corner. It's off of Cemetery Road, what was previously known as Cemetery Road, now it's Social Ledge. Cedar Street Cemetery is the one that's in the middle of the golf course as you go through down Cedar Street. Both of those, there are no new interments there. The active ones are Woodside Cemetery, which includes Gold Star Mothers, and Beechwood Cemetery. So again, we conducted an audit of the approximately 2,500 file folders, and created a new database, rectified any record disparities that were out there. We brought in a retiree who went out and then probed and did some research on the grave, the headstones, and probed the graves to clear up some of the final discrepancies. And I guess I'll turn it over to Glenn to go through the last time the regulations were updated.
Question?
And the kind of recommendations on what we're doing.
Just,
Brian?
just a quick question on the 4 cemeteries. You didn't mention Central Cemetery on Joy Place.
It's
So
privately owned.
that's what I wanted to get that out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Like always, I have to give a little background story. So we started in 1982 to find additional cemetery space because we were running short. And finally, in 2001, we got it done. And at that time, we updated our prices and we updated regulations and brought the procedures into compliance with the way cemetery operations should run. Over the last 20 years, some things have happened. some procedures could change and paperwork got skewed. And so as new admin folks were coming into DPW to do the cemetery work, which is part of their job, it was hard to understand how to explain it. So we decided we better take a look, see at what's going on. And we discovered that we were very inadequate with the way we were collecting information, we were filing it, we were not keeping up with new cemetery regulations and procedures for funeral directors and things like that. So the special town meeting last year appropriated $18,000, and we were able to hire a consultant, Tom Daly, who's a renowned consultant in this part of New England on cemeteries, actually has worked here before to help us. He went through and he codified, brought up to date with the tremendous hours of input and field work from the DPW cemetery folks that walked out there with him. We talked about best practices on procedures, rules, and regulations. And so we have come up with a draft set of rules and regulations, which was in your manual packet that was sent to you. I would like you to consider approving. And also, the last time that we set prices was 20 years ago. So we've taken a look at when someone needs to be buried, it's very labor intensive. We have to dig the grave. Well, we're going to find the place. We have to dig the grave. We have to be certain nothing else is there. We have to schedule with the funeral director and be there for sometimes as much as 4 hours for the burial because times get delayed and things happen. And, run into overtime issues and run into holiday issues and weather issues. And so anyway, it's very labor intensive. And so we now are charging a flat $600. So that doesn't even cover the broad labor cost that it takes to do it much more than anything else. So we've created a new fee schedule, which is based on actual cost, which is also in your packet. It's called draft new fee schedule. It's basically the most vanilla thing that can happen is you get a full depth casket burial. We used to charge $600 to open the grave. And now, after the cost of what it really costs us in this study, we're recommending that be $1,050, which is in line with most of the other municipalities. And it's what it cost us, so we should think about that being accurate. The other thing that's new on here is we lay out the cost for foundations for your stone. It's been a hodgepodge of vendors doing it and retirees doing it, and just been confusing. So it took away any authority and supervision we had over what was going on. So now we say you got to have the town do it, and we put the price. It's only $100. It's in here now. And when we priced the graves in 2001, when we did the additions and built some others, we priced the graves, a single grave at Woodside at $1,800 and change, because we had a financial model of how many graves we have to sell a year at what price to pay off a $700,000 mortgage in 10 years. So we agreed it would be $1,850, but we left Beechwood at $725. So as the picking got less appealing at Woodside, people started saying, "Oh, $700, I'll go to Beechwood." So now what we're suggesting is that all cemeteries are the same price. So it's $1,650. That's a more equitable number. So $1,650 for a single grave, and then there are other types of burial arrangements. You can buy a niche for urns of ashes. You can buy in Woodside, if it goes down others, we have what's called double depth burials where the cement vaults are already in the ground, but they're double depth. So those cost more. So anyway, so that you have in front of you have the fee schedule and you have the new suggested regulations. The other thing that the consultant recommends, and it's allowed under Massachusetts Chapter 114, which is the cemetery law, is to appoint a group of cemetery commissioner advisors, or whatever you want to call them, that can interact on a monthly basis with the DPW cemetery people, so that some of these questions get answered, and rather than a clerk or a field person making a decision and just setting something aside. And also it'll be a group that's constantly feeding you information and updates on what's going on in cemeteries, because I would guess that It's been a very long time since anybody's talked to you about cemeteries, when you would be. So, and things get out of whack. One of the other things that, who knows how this happened, but the cemetery management database program got old, got unsupported, and to get it supported and get the license up to date back in 2015, apparently somebody made the decision, too much money, we're not gonna do it. So that left the then admin cemetery administrator, Mary Snow at the DPW, fending for herself, no database, no anything. So one of the first things we did when we got up here looking around this time, we said, well, that's easy, we got a sophisticated IT department, we'll just take that disk over to them and they'll get it going for us. Ron Menard and his gang, they tried, they looked, they bought some sort of a program to help open whole thing, couldn't do it. So anyway, so we, as Brian said, we started out with a clerk looking at every one of the 2,500 folders with one for each grade. Went through and made a spreadsheet, what's supposed to be in here and what isn't here. And so now that is all done, totally done. We have an inventory of what's available. We know what things we don't have, not much we can do about some of it, but at least we know. So we're ready to go forward, and so if you could ask me questions about these three asks, or tell me what, the information we need to get into you, we'd love to.
Okay. Comment, questions from the board?
Justin, can we get the fee schedule up on that screen? It's under the cemetery info PDF in the packet. It's like on page 9, just so when we adopt it, we can have it. That's all, my only question. Thank you.
Diane?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. How does the whole accounting work? Does it work like a
So,
enterprise fund?
Chris may know better, but what happens is, so someone pays, they go in to buy a grave. The admin person there has a sheet called a commitment turnover sheet. They send it to the treasurer. Also comes into the treasurer a deed, we used to call them deeds, but now they're just a right of burial. That form comes in, treasurer signs it, and the money goes into what's called sale of graves account. And it's split. Sale of graves account has sale of graves, and part of the sale of graves is set aside for what's called perpetual care, which is required under the state law. So that's where that goes. And then when somebody has a grave opened, and we have these fees that we charge them, that gets sent into the treasurer also, just saying this was a grave opening, and it goes from somebody. So you have sale of graves account, which sits out there, and then you have the money for fees that goes into some other account. I'm not sure the disposition of
Yeah,
the
that's,
fees.
I guess that's my question. Is it just in the general fund? Does it get offset by costs?
There is a perpetual care account that's maintained separate.
That's
Right.
different, yeah.
That's
They're-
different.
right.
Operational.
The routine operations are in the budget.
Yeah, so the staff hourly rate is built just into our salary structure, the operating budget salary structure. And our budget under the DPW operating budget is only $1,500 for cemetery care, which might include like fertilizing or small items. If we go for big things like irrigation upgrades, then we come before the board like we did last year and say, hey, we have these list of improvements, will you allow us to use the perpetual care account for these projects?
How do we determine whether or not the ongoing sale of grave sites covers the actual cost of to provide those
Well, the
services?
sale of graves, the land is already owned and the improvements have been paid
Right.
for. So there is nothing that's paying down, like a loading
Right.
second guy when we first expanded, go some others. So that money, sale of graves, you'll see sits in an account called sale of graves, and it's gets up there. We only sell 50 graves a year, if we're lucky, and not even bury 50 people maybe. So it's, no, these aren't lots of dollars, but, so that sits there. I don't know how long it's been accumulating or what used to be done with it. One of the things that we're hoping to do is talk to Jen, the new town finance director, is what has she seen in other communities, and perhaps we can come up with an agreement on what we'll do with that sale of graves money.
So there isn't an automatic mechanism so that money goes into an account and then goes back to whatever town budget is paying for the actual work that you're doing. So we don't have that.
Well, I don't know what happens to the fees. The money that comes in for fees, Chris would know better. It may go somewhere. into the general budget, I don't know. Yeah, we gotta find out about that. Which is really, that's why we didn't bring that up tonight too, because we gotta.
Okay,
talk
all
more
right, that's
about
fine. I don't think we need to, but I think that's something that we would want to have in, Chris, it's after we calm down.
It could be helpful.
After the holidays,
Yeah,
we'll address
it
that.
could help Brian and the DPW's budget, especially for summer help and like that. Because in the spring, when the grass is going crazy and it's raining, it's all they can do to keep the grass cutting down like that. And they have a hard time getting to the weed whacking and, some would say it's a little disrespectful to the people who are on the grave and buried and have, not have it, but we only have so many people, but we might be able to fund it if we think through some of these things.
Yeah,
We are working off right now, your board probably a year ago or more now, did give us $40,000 or $50,000 something from Perpetual Care to work on some bigger projects, which are all in varying stages of being completed, so.
so Brian, if you send a crew over there to mow and you're not taking their hours and allocating it, and you
No.
just,
That's 100% funded out of the DPW operating
Okay.
budget.
so that's where it is, so. All right, so this is something that we might want to consider revisiting to balance it, but I think you've done a good job in cleaning up
I just,
yeah.
if I could just have one other quick question, just in terms of the committee structure. Is there currently a committee and, yeah, I was going to say, and is it a select board appointment or?
Well, no, it's a new thing that we're asking for.
Okay.
You are the cemetery commissioners.
Right.
By the way it works. What we're saying is the state law, chapter 115, section 27, allows you to pass that responsibility down to another group. It can advise you and can help and advise the admin and the work that's going on. Doesn't have any authority to spend money or direct people or do anything like that, but it's a group that focuses only on cemeteries. If you talk to the cemetery folks, they'll say, yeah, we cut 100 acres of grass, we plow the street, we run the dump, we do this, we do that, and the other thing, by the way, we take care of the cemetery. So that, it's not a high priority thing to have to do.
Is
If
there-
someone was helping them look at it, it might be better.
I didn't see anything in this packet establishing a cemetery committee. Did I miss that?
No, we're asking you to consider that.
Is it in the packet?
Yes, it talks about in the letter from the consultant, Tom Dale. about that.
The ask is to consider it, and we can do it in the future.
Well, I mean, I don't know how much time you spent reading the material that we figured out, so.
It was late night.
We would like to get the new regulations approved and the fee schedule approved.
Are these regular, what I'm trying to understand, because, and I went through this, it looks like this is a potential way of doing, and we don't have anything on here signifying on our agenda that we intend to vote on a new cemetery board and creating that. So I don't think we can do that this evening anyway. But that's what you're looking for down the line, correct?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
yes, but we'd like to, at the very least, if we could, get the new regulations and the new fees approved. The discussion about someone helping you as cemetery commissioners could be for another time for sure.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
So if you direct me to work with council, and I'll work with Glenn and Brian, we'll come back to you
Okay.
with a.
I just want to make sure there isn't buried in here something
Oh,
where
no,
we
no,
set
there
it
isn't,
up.
there isn't. So I think we need to bring back something a little more concrete. This is what the board is, this is their term.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's what I was trying to,
But we.
because I didn't see it in here.
No, it's
Okay.
thrown out as one of the three things that we came up with in
Okay.
this endeavor. The
So-
other thing that I think Brian touched upon, but we'll probably be back for something at town meeting to have some money to buy a database program, so we can keep track of everything. We haven't updated it, we don't lose it.
Just a question was,
Yeah, Corey.
I know that electronic proof of records has been a priority for Ron and his department. So is it something that we can tie in? Is there some savings that we can?
Yeah, no, I think that this is something that we've been working on. We've had someone working on, that Glenn mentioned, on just the hard copy records are getting clean, because we can't do a clean electronic database. We don't have a clean database, period. The next step is to acquire that, is to go out, find a really good database and then acquire it. So it'd be something we'd probably fund at town meeting in the spring, and then install it and maintain it.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be very robust and sophisticated, we sell bury 50 people, you get 2 cemeteries, so it's, but you do have to be able to call up information, keep track of stuff, and it's, in any cemetery folder anyway, so there are as many as 12 pieces of paper we need from funeral directors, medical examiners, and all sorts of stuff we have to have in there, so you gotta keep track of all that.
Okay. Procedurally, we, on our thing, we don't indicate that we haven't let the public know that we're considering voting on raising fees. So we can't vote on that tonight anyway. And I think we will have this on an agenda. And my sense, and it's talk amongst the board, is that we should have a agenda item to vote on the fees. And then Chris will be working with town council to provide a format for the new bylaws and bylaw, or the cemetery committee. Does that make sense?
So I guess the only thing I would say is I think at our, maybe even our next meeting, we could just, because it's here in our packet, if we just note that we're going to vote on the regulations and the fees.
That's
And
excellent.
then the process, the progress that we need to make is on establishing the framework for the committee. Is that right?
There's that, and then we need to have a discussion about how the money flows and
Sure.
stuff, because it's 3 pockets that it goes into.
Well, the first thing we want to do, and Tracy, we'll put that on our next agenda, just to vote on the fee structure and get the money flowing. And then we'll have to figure out the rest of it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Glenn.
Any other discussion or comments from the board on this? Justin, did anybody call in from the great beyond? Okay, so we can assume that the inhabitants are satisfied with the work that you're doing. Okay. The CEA age-friendly Cohasset plan vote that was presented. Is there anybody here to speak to that? Or we just need to vote on that?
Sure. Nancy from Cohasset Building Repairs is coming up right now.
Oh, she is. Okay, good.
Hello, everyone. Thank you.
Nancy,
Hi, Nancy.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I'm here. Okay, yes, great. I appreciate you guys taking the couple of weeks to take a look at what we had. And if you have any questions for me or any kind of changes, I'm happy to listen to them and add them to the plan before we have to submit them.
Okay. So, Diane?
if I remember correctly, Nancy, I don't have any changes. I wouldn't be qualified to, but is this due at some point? You need
Yes.
our vote for a reason, right?
That's right, because it's due to AARP by the end of the month, or they're going to start all over again.
Great.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'll move that we approve the CEA age-friendly Cohasset plan.
I'll second it.
We have the CEA Cohasset, age-friendly Cohasset plan made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Carries unanimously. Thank you, Nancy. You're doing a good
Thanks,
job.
Nancy. Happy holidays.
Appreciate it. Same to you all.
Sidewalk Committee, next steps. Oh,
Well, steps I have coming up, let's see, on the agenda, I apologize. But we are going through, I'm starting to go through the applications. We're going to get it going and get the committee up and running. I think that's, no, please, Corey,
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of applications. Do you have a count right now?
I've started, no.
Okay.
I didn't know.
Quite a bit.
But honestly, I've got to get, matter of fact, Tracy, could I get an exact send? They're all scattered. So if we can get a total, if I can get them all in one, I can start going through one by one and then we can present them and
Yeah, they're all on my drive.
that'd be fantastic. Yeah, if we could collate them, I'd be great because there were a couple that from different committees, from people that applied. And it's been a heck of a busy time, so I've looked at names and there are some people that expressed interest, even more so today after last night's meeting. So,
And I saw what you and Justin put together for, the message and the call to people. I think that was all nicely done. So, and obviously the town's responded, so.
Tracy, make sure the whole board gets that package. Thank you.
Unless Paul's an Excel fanatic like I am, I'd be happy to put them on a spreadsheet and kind of note their neighborhood, because I think it's really important that when we look at the full list, we get those four corners.
I'd be indebted to you for that.
Yes.
Take me 5 minutes.
Paul is chair. You work with Paul.
Well, he
Just make
can't be a chair of a committee that hasn't appointed him as chair.
Yeah.
He's
Oh, that's true.
he's our.
That's all
liaison
right.
to the
We'll-
select board.
I'm a
We'll do all that. Just
liaison.
But he is a member.
let us all be careful that while we're trying to do this, that we don't get three of us going emails back and forth.
No, I'm literally just going to type them into a spreadsheet, so we have something easy to
Diane.
look at.
And I'll be indebted to you.
Okay. Any other discussions about the sidewalks, committees? Okay, I think that it's very clear after last night that this is an issue that has, shall we say, legs. And we'll be seeing that on the agenda. And let me ask the board, are we pretty much set to just start making appointments on this, and we need to devise the charge? Corey?
So, yeah, we've got the charge, and I think that as soon as we can do the appointments as quickly as possible. In the past, I know that the board has discussed having a subcommittee of board members look at applicants. If Mrs. Kennedy and Mr. Grady are going to be making a spreadsheet, perhaps they can make a recommendation for the members that they would like to see, which kind of saves us deliberative time on the 5, if that, you guys are okay with that. So I'd be happy to make a motion to form a subcommittee of Mr. Grady and Mrs. Kennedy to bring the board committee appointment recommendations as soon as it's convenient.
Second.
Got a motion made and seconded to have a subcommittee of the select board,
Yes, correct.
okay, to review and recommend candidates. Is there any discussion?
No.
Okay, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries unanimously. Do we have Tana for the aggregation?
We do, I'm pulling time up right now.
She's good.
Hello,
Tanya, I
everybody.
think you're here.
I am here, and if whoever has the magic button could also let Steve Wenner and Debbie Cook on, if they're participating, that'd be great. But we have 5 minutes. So I can jump into it.
I did not see Steve, but I did just promote Deborah.
Okay, perfect. Hey, Debbie.
Hello.
Good evening, Debbie.
Tanya, would you like the screen share option for you?
Please. So we sent 2 things. One is a 2-page summary, which we call a 1-page summary, but it's 2 pages about the vote for tonight and the background behind it. And we also sent a robust set of slides, which we are not going to bore you with because many of them are repetitious of the slides that we present to you every quarterly update about where we are, where we've been. So the Cohasset Community Choice Aggregation, as you know, has been in the works for 3 years. And the plan was approved by the town. I'm going to share to show the time frame. The plan was approved by the town, or exploration of a plan was approved in spring of 2019. And the select board finalized a plan in December of 2019. It then went to town meeting in the spring of 2020, was approved by the residents. And then we waited. And we waited. Because the DPU was slow walking approval of the plan. And they finally gave us a preliminary approval in December of 2021. And we thought that meant we could move ahead. And then they asked for some other specifics, which I think, Mr. Creighton, you'll be very happy about. We're tied to the marketing plan and making sure that the marketing plan in the plan was very robust. And so the plan itself is now composed of 3 documents, one of which is an outreach plan that has a lot of detail. And Debbie's very knowledgeable about this. If you have any more questions, Steve can give more background on what led up to this because he did the yeoman's work in making it happen. And I'm here to talk about where we are. So where we are is now at the bidding stage. So on October 5th, 2022, finally, the DPU gave us the final approval. It probably wasn't a bad thing that we had to wait because the energy markets were in tumult because of the Ukraine war, because of oil prices, because of all sorts of things. And in fact, even after we got the approval from the DPU, the broker that Cohasset chose, Good Energy, decided to wait out October and November because things were still not settled down. We're now at a point where we had a very warm fall. Prices are very high on default supply, 4 times as high as they were in the summer, which is very bad and expensive for everybody in town. But the market prices to go forward are lower, we believe. And so Good Energy feels like it would be a good time now to go to market, and had a preliminary discussion today, I believe, about where they thought prices would end up. And once that bid is done, we'd have 2 months of public notice and marketing and making sure the residents knew their choices, because this is about choice. It is an opt-out program, so anybody could opt out. They could pick a low-cost option, they could pick a default option, end up on the default option, or go 100% green, or I guess we can't say green. There's also rules about what you can say or not say, but a plus product. And if at the end of all that, once people started to receive their power supply, they didn't like it, they could still opt out again. So as a result, this is where we are. We're now at the bidding stage and implementation is happening. I'm going to tell you what that means for the select board and why a vote is needed. But first, just to tell you how scary prices are this winter. Like I said, they're 4 times the default supply price. Anybody who does not have a competitive supplier who is relying on National Grid to provide their energy, and I am one of them, is receiving an outrageously high price right now. And you may have seen this on your electricity bills. So this gives everybody an opportunity to try to take a bite out of that. And the town has an opportunity to test the market for a lower price that could benefit any citizen that's on default supply. And if somebody has a competitive supplier and they don't like the price, or there's a better price, they can also switch into this option. So why is the select board so important? You may or may not remember, because it was a plan that you approved back in 2019, but the select board is responsible for administration of this plan. So the Alternative Energy Committee, as with most of our opportunities, we originated it, we bring it to fruition, we bring it to the party who's interested, and once it gets to implementation, we take on an advisory role. We're here to support, we're here to help, we're here to do anything you need from us. But generally at this point, somebody else administers the program, the plan, the grant. And in this case, the select board or a designee is responsible. And specifically, when the bids come in from competitive suppliers, there needs to be one person designated as the person specifically authorized to enter into the electric service agreement. And you can set parameters, you can do other things, but there needs to be somebody who has signatory power. So I'm going to, this is our tee up, and I don't know if Chris Senior or Michelle wants to take it from here, but I do have Debbie on the line in case there's questions about the marketing. I know this was a concern.
Michelle on the phone.
or any other questions?
So Tana, what you're saying is the select board has to basically designate a single point of contact to make, for all this information to come in?
I think the key point of contact is for specifically when the bids come in, that person then, based on guidance from the board or general thoughts about what they should be looking at, makes a decision about whether or not to enter into the electric service agreement. And they then have the signatory power to bind the town to that option.
So do we appoint that person, or do we appoint that person after we see the bids? Or, I mean, I'm a little confused, and maybe.
Yeah,
Chris-
I can, so
Yeah.
Tanya can explain too, and if you can bring Michelle back up and
Yeah.
we could drop that screen, that would be great.
Mhm.
So, one of the hats I wear is Chief Procurement Officer as well, and Michelle works with me on that and actually procures many of the things we do. She and I were on a call today, a pre-bid call. Without revealing any confidential information, I would say that things seem to be teed up in a favorable way. So that so what we're gonna ask the board to do tonight is to vote to authorize me to sign off on authorize the bid to be awarded tomorrow. And if it's in parameters of what we saw today, I think we'll all be pleased. And it'll give residents a real option to save real money. At the same time, we're gonna also have a very robust 2-month public information campaign. So everybody will know what's going on. They will see the prices, they will see their options. That's one of the things Justin will be very deeply involved in. I mean, again, the plan's already sketched out, so we have to follow a very set process. That's so we can be very aggressive with it. And we want to make sure everybody knows. And if people can most certainly opt out. If they, and again, they can get in. And if, as Tanya said, if they don't like it, they can get out later. I think there's a real opportunity to say, it seems like there's a real opportunity for residents to get a savings. Again, this won't go into effect until March either, by the way, because there's a 2-month lead in. And then the plan is, I think, to bid this out for a 20-month period. Michelle, is that the correct amount? Yeah. Which would lock in a savings for a decent amount of time. And as Tanya pointed out, there's 3 options the residents would have. The default is more green than the current requirements of the state. You can opt down one, which is the same amount of green that's, or renewable energy, I guess I should preferably say, that's in the state's requirements already. And then you can go 100% renewable, which is another option, costs a little bit more. It does seem like all of those options could potentially save residents money. But again, we won't have those final numbers tomorrow,
So what I'm hearing is that if we vote this tonight, we are empowering you as Chris Senior as town manager to make that decision,
to sign off on the bid when it's awarded tomorrow.
to sign off, but that just, the bid is being awarded tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a quick, it's an unusual turnaround, Jack. Normally you have time to review these things. It's like a 1-hour turnaround. You have to, once the bid's in, you have to accept it. And so there isn't time to turn a meeting around on.
Right, okay, well, that's why we're here tonight,
Right,
by the way.
correct.
So, Tana, you're satisfied with this bid, and are you going to recommend that we have Chris sign that?
I've not seen the bids. There was a pre-bid meeting with an indication of where it might be. I shared with Chris what I thought would be safe from a range. And so he's aware of the numbers that I felt would be a safe place to go, and what would be a really good deal and what would be a maybe not so good deal. So he's familiar with those numbers. I'm happy to participate tomorrow when the bids come in, if you'd like me to, or just leave Chris with the numbers that I've provided.
I think, well,
Oh, I'd love to have her tomorrow as part of
well,
the
I know,
conversation.
because you're not nuts.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome, anytime. Thoughts from the board on this? We'll start with Corey, and I see Diane, and
So just to kind of recap, the whole idea of this is that, by Cohasset, kind of coming together, we're kind of bidding on like a wholesale price. Like, so if we combine our need with everyone else, rather than all of us individually trying to buy a plan, there's a potential that we could get a wholesale price. Is that, so if that's true, the only question, and you just touched on that, which is, do you have the information, Mr. Senior and Ms. Bodell, about whether we can make the right call on that? Do you have the information you need to know if we are going to get a good deal?
Yes.
Okay, then that's all I got. Thank you.
Diane?
And I also want to say it's better than just going to bid as Cohasset, because we're teaming up with 5 other towns. And the total population of those 5 other towns plus us is basically 10 times the size of Cohasset. So we have that much more negotiating buying power because we're teamed up with 5 other towns.
Okay,
Thank you.
Diane?
So my question is, in the bidding tomorrow, are we going to get 4 prices for those 4 different levels of options? Okay, and then when you say they're locked in, are they locked in for 20 months
Yes,
or
it's a fixed price.
there's
It's not
a
gonna,
progressive?
unlike last year, which goes up and down by the season, this will be stable for 20 months. So you won't have to worry about seeing a giant spike in your electricity bills because, there was a gas crisis in Ukraine or in Bolivia or something. So
Great, thank you.
Question on that. So if the prices are fixed, I'm not a fan of fixed prices. Is there any way they think about putting a cap on them, Chris?
I'm sorry.
Cap on the price, not a fixed.
The way the process works.
My experience, I don't mean to interrupt, I apologize, but fixed prices, invariably what happens is the prices plummet. I've seen it happen. I'm speaking from experience. Those prices drop and we're left holding the bag, paying it at a higher price, or they're charging a higher price and they're making money while the market's down.
So one of the keys to this, Paul, is you can opt out. If that does happen, they need to bid for a fixed amount of time, otherwise the bidders won't take part in it. At the same time, though, if it does become unfavorable, you can leave and go to the cheaper price.
And there's no penalty.
There's no penalty.
So you wouldn't, so the set
You
fixed
just can't
price,
get back in right away. So there's a waiting period to get back.
Is that ability to leave, is that on the individual user?
Yes.
But the town is still bound to the overall.
Well, I mean, when we say the town, so the town actually we have a separate electricity contract for a low fixed price.
Right.
So we're not going to be part of this for the town's purposes, but it doesn't bind every resident. I mean, everyone, the way the state law works, you're in unless you opt out, but it's an individual opt out.
Right.
So the default would be you're in the plan. But again, the goal, what we have to spend 60 days doing is telling everybody what their options are. And if that literally means going to every group committee, every social media feed, whatever we need to do to get everyone to understand that, meeting here at elder, at the Commons with every elder in town explaining this stuff. And there's a simple, I believe there's fairly simple forms, Tanya, for this stuff to opt out. It's not complicated. So we can also be regularly available to talk to people. And I think members of your committee will be happy to do that.
What happens, excuse me, but
Sure.
what happens if we determine that the overall structure is no longer favorable? Are we still structurally bound for the 20 months in this plan?
So the plan has been approved by the DPU, right? That provides cover to the town that we're abiding by what was approved by the DPU. So we like having that structure and that approval. If I think the structure itself, as far as the 3 different approaches, if we wanted to revise that, we would have to submit a new plan for DPU approval.
Well, let's say the wholesale price of of electricity drops. What happens?
Then
Do they
people
keep the
can,
difference?
people individually can choose to leave if they think they can get a more favorable option elsewhere.
Okay.
The town does not make broad decisions once people are in the program, but the individuals can choose to leave if the contract gets upside down.
But the town could not renegotiate the whole contract. They couldn't say, hey, prices have gone down 35% and we're in a structure that has us paying that price.
So
Can
there
we-
is one way that can happen. Chris Senior told me about that today. It was discussed as part of the pre-bid meeting. And Chris, do you want to share what that looks like? If over time the prices drop and there's an option to go back to market to lower the price, you can do that.
Apparently, there's an option again, and Michelle, correct me if I'm misstating this. If you're within a year of the expiration of the contract, you can bid for an extension at a lower price and blend the price down. So so if 8 months into this again, this would be for a 20-month period. That was the consensus on the call today. And let's say 9 months out, prices start to fall. There could be a new bid done to extend it and then bring the overall average price down. Again, that's why there's a professional company the company that's doing this, it's Good Energy, has done these all over the state and other places too. And we're in this boat tonight, and the bid, when these bids go out, we're with Situate, Marshfield, again, all those slides on your slider, there was like 7 or 8 other towns. So, and we had the call today, the pre-bid call. So Paul, there's most certainly some risk, there's no question. This is a very volatile time for the market. At the same time, I don't think we've ever seen, and Tanya does this for a living, I don't think she's ever seen rates this high for electricity. And I don't know how much less uncertainty is coming. We don't know. But I asked these questions too. We're bidding in the winter, it's not a normal time to do that. And they all agreed at the same time, there seems to be an opportunity to save people money right now. Again, you're right, it could become unfavorable in 9 months or 10 months or 11 months. And we should let people know that if the pricing isn't good, that they should be able to pull out of it.
That's just it, as long as it's described. Again, I steer away from fixed prices. I'm not a fan of them. I'm also not a fan of floats. I like to give people some security. So knowing that, and I find also that people will nowadays, unfortunately, you used to be able to do it for free, but you have to purchase the downside option. I find people are willingly put in for that if there's in that field. Again, I'm coming from a strictly oil and energy and solar. So, and one more question: how's the feedback been from the towns already participating?
I think anyone on the committee can comment, but it seems this has been a program the state introduced a number of years ago. We're kind of late to the party. A lot of communities across the state have done this, and the ones who got in early, some of them are saying, like Plymouth as an example, they're saving a ton of money for their residents because they've had a good, stable, low price for a long time. And it also gives options for people if they want to, again, I'm using this term loosely because we can't use it in the advertising of the state, green up. If they want to pay, it makes it easier for people who want to, go all green. It's easier now. And again, and the price is really favorable. I mean, it's more than the base price for sure, but it's not crazy. And if they want to do their, if they feel that they're willing to spend their money that way, they can. It's an option. And it's also tied to mass renewables too. It's not just, Texas wind or, hydropower from Quebec, though it's a lot of local, there's a lot more local green energy being generated. And, it's a complicated market with tax credits and all that, but the more support it gets, it just grows the industry for the state. So.
No, that I get, but if we had feedback from the towns or municipalities lumped together that are already participating, are they happy with it?
It's been all, I believe that everyone's been, I think it's been very favorable. I mean, Steve is probably right, Steve, you interact with residents, other groups like yours around the Commonwealth, right? Everyone's pretty big on aggregation now, right?
Yes, I mean, the towns that have taken aggregation have overwhelmingly liked the results.
Okay,
About half the towns in Connecticut or Massachusetts have already joined the aggregation programs, by the way. So, as Chris said, we're not pathfinders here.
Justin, is anybody in the waiting room? No. Okay.
No.
So further discussions, Corey?
I think if there's a way that we can help our citizens save money, especially in this really crazy time. I was just looking at my electric bill, it was crazy. Personally, I'm for it. I think we should do it, especially, and if residents can opt out and there's no penalty, then we can save them and there's an opt-out that they can individually take. I say we do this with all haste.
Other comments?
I just want to comment, Tanya, correct me if I'm wrong. This was passed by town meeting, so it wasn't some arbitrary program that we've all discussed. This pursuing this was passed by town meeting 3 years ago.
Yes, and well, so we explored it. We got the vote to explore it, 2019. The select board finalized a plan and it went before the town for approval at the spring town meeting in 2020, when we were all parked during the pandemic.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it was approved unanimously.
I'd be fine with seeing a motion made to approve. I mean,
Okay.
if it's gonna save
Yeah.
the town money,
Yeah.
I just had some questions. There are some specifics that come from the energy field.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we
my
have a
only
motion?
my only comment would be that we are having high energy prices. If wholesale prices were to drop substantially and we were kind of caught in here, I think we have some protections, but I think we should be aware that it would be interesting discussions.
Well, that's
Being said-
that's the opt-out clause, so.
Yeah, that's the opt-out.
I can make a motion, Mr. Chair. if you're- I make a motion that we authorize town council,
The town manager.
the town manager, my apologies, town manager, we're good, to represent the town and accept the bid in this matter in consultation with the AEC chair.
Second.
Could I add a,
Yeah, well, we're in discussion. Motion is made and
I'd like to
seconded, so
second that as well.
discussion.
I'd like to see that Ms. Bodell is present.
Yeah,
AEC chair, Mr. Waddell, yeah, my apologies.
she, yeah, no, she is the AC chair. so I just-
Perfect,
Yeah.
sorry about that.
All right, we've had a motion made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Tana. Nice to see you.
You're welcome, and thank you to Steve and Debbie, who.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks,
I'm gonna
Steve and
say,
Debbie.
I haven't gotten to them yet. Steve, thank you. Debbie, thank you. Too bad you sold your
Before
sailboat.
you
though.
go, before we are finished, I did want to point out, I think, Chris, you touched on the fact that, marketing is a really big part of it, and the DP has a very robust marketing program. And we just want to offer, our services and help to Justin or whoever, or, to find someone to coordinate it, because it is very robust. It probably will take a team and not just a person to carry out what needs to be done to get the word out. So I just wanted, Steve and I are prepared to help in any way. We're very familiar with the program. We've been to umpteen meetings. I'm a marketing person myself, so just wanted to let you know. If you want us to be involved, please let us know.
So your offer
Thank
is accepted.
I do want to say, I gave Jack Creighton a personal guarantee that our Alternative Energy Committee would be available to make sure that the marketing was robust. And luckily, the plan is very prescriptive, but we feel like, the more hands, the better. So we're glad you accept the offer, and we're here to serve.
Very good. Thank you very much, and butter me up anytime. But anyway, I do think that everybody in town should, and the select board should recognize the hours and hours of time that they have put in, and this is not an easy subject to understand, and to protect our town from some of the intricacies is very difficult. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, moving on, we'll set the date for the annual town meeting.
So, Mr. Chair, in
Yeah.
your packet is a calendar that I asked our town clerk, Lisa Legg, to prepare for a May 1 town meeting. That's the first Monday of May. And the town election, following past history, would go on May 13th, which is the second Saturday after town meeting. And the schedule you have in your packet shows the deadlines for various things. After you vote this, I will add to this calendar when we present the budget and when you review articles, and you'll have a whole robust, very, very engaging spring calendar for the work that gets us to annual town meeting.
Okay, any discussion? Diane?
I just have a question. It says the last day to submit nomination papers to the Board of Registrars, and then a week later, it's submit them to the town clerk. Am I missing something?
Yeah, there's a weird kind of, I will double check that, but the dates you're approving are in the 1st and the 13th. It's not that.
Everything else flows.
Yeah, everything else flows out of that.
Okay.
I will double check with Lisa about that. There's a, yeah.
It just, I don't know whether I'm forgetting, but it just is confusing to somebody that might be
No,
a
no,
new candidate, yeah.
I will make sure that's not unclear when we.
Okay, well, so this isn't ready to be approved.
Well,
as it's
the
written.
1st and the 13th.
Two dates are.
So the most important date, what the board has to approve tonight, Jack, is the date for town meeting, the
Right,
date for the town election. the rest of the stuff flows out of that, and I'll work with Lisa on.
All right, so let's just make a motion to approve those two.
Motion to set town meeting for May 1st, 2023, and the town election for May 13th, 2023.
Second.
Okay, had a motion made and second, set the dates for town meeting and town election. Justin, is there any comments?
No.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries unanimously. Approval of minutes for October 25th, 2022.
Move to approve.
Second.
Diane, your comments?
I have no comments. They were practically perfect.
I couldn't resist, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right, we've had a motion to approve the October 25th minutes. Made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstention, motion carries unanimously. Chris, update us.
A couple of really quick things. Wanted to welcome our new, we have a new assistant accountant who just started this week. We're very excited. We'll have her appear at a meeting in January. Donna, whose last name I'm escaping, is horribly escaping me right now. No one's looking at me with an answer. So, but we're very excited to have her join us. I did tell her that today's big holiday event we had in the office, a big potluck, was not something we did every week. She was excited to have it, just the same.
Good day to start. Yeah.
I also want to thank the facilities team, did a really wonderful job on the common. If anyone hasn't been down there yet, they had a lot of fun wrapping the tree, and I think the tree on the common pond looks beautiful. I think the star on top looks really beautiful as well. I think it's just an example of the great work they do, and they had a lot of fun doing it. So my thanks to the facilities team for all that. And just in final, there was 235, if I had my count right, at town meeting last night. It was a great turnout. A lot of productive conversation, a lot of great things got done last night. I want to thank all the boards and committees who worked so incredibly hard alongside staff to make this happen. I particularly also want to thank Lisa Legg. It was her first town meeting as clerk. I think she did a great job. So thank you, Lisa, to many, many more successful town meetings for you.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. Select board comments. We'll start with Corey.
Yeah, so I mean, two things. One, I did want to address just make a comment to those who were petitioning for the King Street sidewalks. I know that the vote was negative, but the message isn't that we want to ignore those safety concerns. I am serious, and I think this board has spoken before how serious we are about the sidewalk committee and funding and getting stuff done. And I did want to ask today to the town manager if there's something, there were some other safety concerns that were addressed, which probably don't require funding. And if you could work with the police chief on that front, I think that would be just nice to get something done immediately if there are things that are happening that are concerning. The second thing though, and and things have happened since, and there's a tendency for all of us to kind of get in our corners. And there's a tendency for us to take a very, if you're not with us, you're against us viewpoint. And I try every day to reject that thinking, because we are all neighbors. And the best thing we can do is listen to each other. And the best thing we can do is understand that everybody has the best interests of the town in their heart, in their mind. And we're just disagreeing on how to get there. But if we can listen to the disagreements, we can probably come to an even better outcome than if we got what we thought we wanted in the first place. So I just encourage everybody, if a vote doesn't go your way, or there's something that you don't agree with, don't see it as a tax, see it as a time to learn, as a time to listen. And then I encourage everyone else to do the same, to give everyone the same respect. Because I think there's so much knowledge in this community, there's so much good, there's so much dedication. We can harness that if we just keep listening to each other. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey. Diane?
Wow, thank you, Corey. I couldn't agree more with that statement. Just a couple of quick things, because I know that our next meeting, I don't think is till January 10th. I don't know that I'm going to be here for that meeting. Unfortunately, I'm going to be probably on Space Mountain at that moment. But a couple of things that I really am anxious to make sure we have in our early January meetings is another discussion on MBTA housing that we left a couple weeks ago. I think it's really critical that we bring our state reps and state senator in to kind of talk through this with us. And Lauren can update us on the progress toward the end of January deadline. I also had the sidewalks on here as a priority. Agreed, it's something that it's the clear message from the discussion last night is that we need to really get moving on it. We discussed this earlier, so Paul and I are on it. And I want to also say that I know somebody that's very Grinchy and thinks that the tree on the common looks as good as it's ever looked. So kudos as well to the facilities department, because it is not easy to wrap trees and have it look good. So that's it. Happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you, Diane. Paul?
I agree with my colleagues each and every one of their statements. I will add one more thing to the King Street and Beechwood area. And Chris, I think you can back me up on this, that sooner than later, matter of fact, very soon, we are going to be putting the radar controlled lights up on Beechwood and on King.
The speed signs, the
The
flashing
speed signs, this radar controlled speed signs. So just don't want them ever thinking they were forgotten, or because of the last night's vote, they are a priority, just as every other road and street in the sidewalk, town is. But those are going, we'll have a date on that pretty soon. I think.
Yeah, their public works contracts meeting with the contractor Thursday. No, next Monday to on site to go over them and to get an installation plan. So
And we have the lights in our possession.
we have two, yep.
Thank you, Paul. Democracy was robust last night in Cohasset. It was wonderful. We can all be proud that we are in a town that can have robust and spirited debates, but understand that we are having those debates because we love our town and we work at it. And I do think we should be aware that one of the first things that I did this morning was I reached out to the Situate to let them know, no specifics, but that we were open to discussions in a positive manner with them, as we indicated we did last night. So that's wonderful. And I guess we won't see everybody till after the holidays, but I think it's important, and it kind of echoes what Corey and Paul and Diane have been saying. This is a wonderful time of year, and it reminds us how fortunate we are. And whatever your belief structure is, this is a time of year when all of us can come and understand that. And when we do that, somehow things seem to work better. And we are in a very special town. And last night we showed what a town can do when they're self-governed and they respect their fellow citizens. So happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas to all, and we will see you all in January.
And move
Thank
to
you.
adjourn.
Second it.
We have a motion to adjourn, made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? We are adjourned.